What are we going to talk about today? Consistency in golf and how it's a myth. Consistency and the obsession with just being more consistent is actually probably making you worse. Can you believe that? But Paul, I see people that are more consistent than me and I can see they're better than me and that's what I want to be. It's like, okay, we're going to dive into this today. So the number one thing that I see in my responses to my surveys where I ask people, what would you like to do? Why are you coming to see me as a golf coach? What do you want to do? And consistency, I call it my swear word, the C letter swear word. I don't care if you use the other one. I grew up in a pretty kind of rough golf course with a lot of old British workingmen's club and a lot of swearing and carrying on. And I don't care about that other word. That doesn't affect me. But boy, if you start using the word consistency in my golf programs now, you're going to hear from me. Now, it's the concept of consistency that I'm talking about here today, because there's different definitions of it. And I think that's probably the biggest problem is a lot of people's expectations around consistency are out of whack with the reality of the game and life in general. And I think the biggest thing is that when people talk about the word consistency, what they say to me is, I just want to, if I could have the same consistent swing every single time, if I could consistently just hit the ball well every time, if I could consistently make sure that the ball was nice and straight and in the middle of the fairway, then I'd be a really good golfer. And there's a bunch more. And I'm sure you can relate to it. Oh yeah, that's what I want to do. You're probably hearing those questions in your own head. And I know that because I was there myself. And that's what I strove for a long period of time. So the problem with it, I think, is the definition of consistency. A lot of people, when they come to me, their idea is that I'm going to do the same thing exactly the same way, no matter what, despite the circumstances. Now, that's the problem. Now, that's one definition of consistency. I was looking up the definitions of consistency, actually, to see what it was like before I did this video. That was one of them. But then it goes in to talk a little bit more about, in terms of performance, right? So in sports, the definition of consistency changes. And I think this is really important because the problem that I see is that a lot of people look at golf pros and look at really good golfers and go, look, they're perfectly consistent. They swing the same way every time. They hit the fairway all the time and they watch on TV and that's what they see. They see them hitting greens and, never missing a putt. And what they're watching is a highlights package. They don't see the players that missed the cut and didn't do any of that and hit it in the same bad places that they do. But then the other side of it too is that none of those golf pros are actually consistent to that first definition, like exactly the same way every single time. None of them are. None of them ever have been. They're human beings. We are not robots. That's why we designed robots, to help us to get better results more consistently, to build cars and build all sorts of things. And the way AI is going at the moment, it's going to do everything so much better than us eventually at some point. Well, hopefully, maybe not. But what we are as human beings is we are the best problem solvers that have ever lived of any species on the planet. That's what's brought us to the top of the food chain, because we could solve problems better using our brains, which are different than everything else, than any other species. So what we've got to do is we've got to start looking at it and going, okay, golf is not necessarily about that definition of consistency. What it's about in terms of performance is bringing in the big, wide results, right? So refining them, not being as bad and not having it happen as often. Now, if you're honest and you really think about those good golfers you play with, they still hit bad shots. They still hit the ball. They still have some lost balls. They still do it, but it's not as often as what you do it. And they don't hit it as bad as often. So their bad ones aren't as bad. And that's what Jack Nicklaus used to say. He said the difference between himself, who was the best golfer in the world at the time, and the average golfer out there was anyone can have a hole-in-one at any point and hit a shot as good as him at any time. But how good are your bad ones? So like that's what golf's actually about. And you know that. It's the blowout holes that are killing you, not the birdies that you make. It's the 8s and the 9s you had because you just lost the plot out there for a little while and couldn't control your emotions. So that's the problems that we have, right? So you've seen all those examples in your own golf game of being out there and trying to be consistent. But I think this is what I just want to talk with you a little bit about. The concept of consistency and the way most people think about it sets these unrealistic expectations. And expectations that aren't met or standards that aren't met tend to make us very angry, especially if they're our own standards, right? You think about that with friends and family. If someone's not cleaning the dishes the way you want, you're going to get angry at them. But we tend to get angry at ourselves because we set standards for our own life. Now, the biggest problem I see on a golf course is people set standards and expectations on things they're not actually in control of and aren't dealing in reality. And what happens then is if you're not in control of something, oh boy, we get angry. the fear of the unknown causes a lot of problems in golf. So what we've got to do is we've got to look at that a little bit differently, because those expectations create all these emotions of anger and frustration and disappointment and all that stuff. And what do you do when you're feeling high emotions like that? You probably don't go through logical steps like you should to actually hit the shots you want to and play the kind of golf you want. And you probably know this. You know that those blowout holes are because you just lost your temper, that hole. And by the time you got to the next tee and you had 5 minutes to calm down, you might have pulled yourself back and it was okay. And then at the end of the day, you've done that 3 times and you're like, oh, if I could just get rid of those 3 holes where I wasn't so angry. Well, the thing with it is that if you've got expectations on trying to do the same swing and hit perfect shots every single time, it's out of whack with reality. So I once heard a podcaster talking with I think it was a neuroscientist. Like, I wish I could find it again and tell you, but it was an interesting conversation because the golf coach who was interviewing this guy said, what about this idea that if, we just swung the same way every single time, then we'd be fine. And the neuroscientist just laughed. And he said, if you knew what I knew about all the chemical processes that have to go on in your brain and then your nervous system and everything to fire all your muscles in the order that you need them to 2 times in a row, he said, you'd be better off buying a lotto ticket and expecting to win. He was kind of laughing about it. And he said, we're just not wired to do that. Everything is always done slightly differently. But what we are very good at doing is adapting and changing. So we're really good problem solvers. So this is what I want you to start thinking about. So we're going to start talking about a different type of outlook on golf shots. And it's a concept I call good enough. Because golf is not all about perfect. There's a great book done by Bob Rotella talking about golf is not a game of perfect. You should read it. It's a great book. He's talking about the best players in the world and how they perceive the game and what they've learned. And I fully agree with the vast majority of what he writes in there about expectations on golf not being a game of perfect. It's actually the opposite. It's a game of imperfect, and how do we deal with it? And so the concept of good enough is a really cool thing that I got from a golf coaching mentor of mine, Jay Cook from Vermont. Hey, Jay, if you're watching and listening. And I loved it because it was like, okay, if we can go out on the golf course and hit every shot with the concept of, was that shot good enough? We can look at things in a different way. Now, what that means is that there's 4 questions that we want to answer. Now, number 1 is it closer to my target than when I started? And if you go, yes, it is, well, it's good enough. The second one, can I find it? Is it not in the bottom of that lake over there? It's not out of bounds in someone's backyard, and it's not in the bush over there where I'm never going to find it ever again because there's tigers and elephants and snakes and all sorts of stuff. Yep, good. So you're going to find it. Great. The next one is, have I got a clear swing at it? Which means that, you're not in backswing, you've got your trees, branches in the middle of your backswing, and the ball's not in amongst tree roots where you can't even get the club to the back of the ball and stuff like that. You go, yeah, that's fine as well. And then the next one is, can I progress it to my next target? Okay, so there's 4 of them there, which means if you can say yes to all of those, that shot you just hit is good enough. Get over it, move on to the next one, solve the next problem, and try and be good enough on the next one. The problem that I see a lot of the time is a lot of people have these, they hit one down, they didn't quite hit it on the middle of the club face, hit on the heel, and it cut round to the right. And that's the one that they do a lot. So they're very frustrated. They wish they could straighten that up and hit straight. But it's now finished in the light rough on the right-hand side. They're blowing up deluxe, and they're angry because their expectations were set on perfect golf shots. But this ball is closer than when they started. They can find it, they can swing at it, and they can progress it to their next target. And good golfers deal with that really well and really fast. And that's what we're talking about. So if you want a solution, I've got all that down our link. Put your email in, that's all I'm doing, and we'll send it all through to you. And it'll be a reminder for you that you can print it out, you can put it on your golf bag, you put little words, just the 4 questions even on a card. Is it closer than when I started? Can I find it? Can I swing at it? And can I progress it? You do those 4 things, and what you're going to do is you're going to start to look at the game in a different way. Your emotions will be different. You won't be so angry all the time. And hopefully what you start to see is your worst holes and your worst situations get better. And if that happens, you need to let me know, because I know that it will start to transform the way you look at the game, and that will start to transform the way you feel about the game, and you'll probably start playing more and playing better as well. If you want to dive into this a little bit more, then you can have a look at some of my last videos as well. They'll be coming up just here or here, and they dive more into these concepts as well. And we're also going to dive into further ones. My next one is going to be talking about, okay, well, how do we solve problems better before we even start hitting them? So I'm talking about how you react to shots afterwards there. Is it good enough? Yes, great, move on. These ones are more, how do we solve the problem in the first place? So hang out for those as well. Check out the other videos here.